For those unaware, SpaceX has already shifted focus to building a self-growing city on the moon. Those aren't my words. That's Elon Musk, February 9th, 2026. The same man who spent 2 decades telling us Mars was humanity's destiny. The same man who said, just 12 months ago, quote, "The moon is a distraction." So what changed, and why is no one asking the obvious question? Let's rewind. For 23 years, SpaceX existed for one reason: Mars. Musk built the most powerful rocket in human history specifically to colonize the Red Planet. He said he wanted to die there. He called it the backup drive for human civilization. Every Starship test, every Raptor engine, every catch with those mechanical chopstick arms was building toward one destination: Mars. And then during the Super Bowl, while 200 million Americans watched the Seahawks crush the Patriots, Musk quietly posted a statement that rewrites everything we thought we knew about SpaceX's mission. The moon is now priority number 1. Mars, that's been pushed back 5 to 7 years, maybe longer, but here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just Musk changing his mind. This is a collision of money, politics, and something far more urgent than most people realize. Start with the timeline problem. Mars and Earth only align every 26 months. Miss that window and you wait over 2 years. The moon, you can launch every 10 days. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between building a city and building a dream. Musk himself admitted it. A lunar city can be self-sustaining in less than half the time. But SpaceX knew these orbital mechanics in 2024. They knew them in 2020. They knew them in 2016 when Musk stood on stage promising Mars missions by 2022. So what actually changed? Follow the money. Last week, SpaceX merged with xAI in a deal valuing the combined company at over $1.2 trillion. They're planning the largest IPO in history. We're talking $50 billion raised in a single offering, and here's what investors need to hear: achievable goals with measurable progress. Mars in 20 years doesn't excite Wall Street. The moon in under 10 does. But there's something most people don't realize. This pivot didn't happen in a vacuum. President Trump signed an executive order late last year prioritizing lunar missions over Mars. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman, who flew to space twice on SpaceX missions, now runs the agency. Blue Origin just paused their space tourism flights entirely to focus on their lunar lander contract. The entire American space industry is pivoting to the moon, and SpaceX, for all its talk of independence, still holds a $4 billion NASA contract to build the Artemis lunar lander. Want to know the most telling detail? Musk posted on X that NASA will constitute less than 5% of SpaceX revenue this year. He said it like it was a point of pride, but think about what that actually means. SpaceX is distancing itself from government dependence while simultaneously aligning its priorities with government policy. That's not coincidence. That's strategy. Now, some will say this is a betrayal. The Mars faithful who followed SpaceX since the Falcon 1 explosions feel like they've been sold a dream that's now being cashed in for something safer. And honestly, that feeling is valid. Remember what Musk said in 2020, "I am highly confident that the first uncrewed Starship will land on Mars by 2026. That's this year, right now. Where's that ship? But here's the counter-argument, and it's worth considering seriously. The moon might actually be the smarter path to Mars. Not as a way station. Musk was clear about that. He said SpaceX would continue launching directly from Earth to Mars because, quote, fuel is relatively scarce on the moon, but as a proof of concept, as a testing ground, as a way to prove that humans can build self-sustaining infrastructure beyond Earth before attempting the same thing 6 months away at minimum. There's a philosophical question buried in all of this. What matters more, the destination or the survival of the species? Musk framed it explicitly. The overriding priority is securing the future of civilization, and the moon is faster. If you genuinely believe an extinction-level event could strike Earth, then speed matters more than poetry. The moon isn't romantic. It's not the red sunsets and ancient river valleys of Mars, but it's 3 days away instead of 6 months. And in a crisis, 3 days could mean everything. And this is where it gets personal, because this decision affects more than SpaceX employees and space enthusiasts. It affects the entire trajectory of human expansion into the solar system. China is racing to land astronauts on the moon this decade. They've made no secret of their intentions to establish a permanent presence. If the United States doesn't move fast, the next generation of lunar explorers might not be speaking English. That's not fear-mongering. That's the explicit reasoning behind the Artemis program. And now SpaceX, the company that revolutionized spaceflight, is fully committed to that race. Meanwhile, Artemis 2 just got delayed. Again, a hydrogen leak during the wet dress rehearsal pushed the launch from February to March. Maybe later, the same leak problems that plagued Artemis 1 4 astronauts sitting in Houston waiting while the most powerful rocket ever built sits on the pad with propellant issues. Victor Glover is about to become the first black man to travel beyond low Earth orbit. Christina Koch will be the first woman to venture into deep space. Jeremy Hansen will be the first non-American to orbit the moon. History is waiting. But history, it turns out, is patient. The question isn't whether humanity will return to the moon. We will. The question is what happens after we get there. Is this a stepping stone or a final destination? Is the lunar city Musk imagines a sanctuary for civilization or a very expensive distraction from the planet that could actually support independent human life? Mars hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there, rust-red and waiting, with its ancient riverbeds and underground water ice and just enough atmosphere to make you wonder. What do you think is really happening here? Is this a pragmatic pivot from a man who finally learned that timelines matter? Or is it something else entirely? A billionaire's dream slowly giving way to a businessman's reality? Some of you have been following SpaceX since before Falcon 1 made orbit. You've watched every launch, every landing, every explosion and recovery. You probably see something in this announcement that the mainstream coverage missed. Drop your theory in the comments. Because if there's one thing 23 years of SpaceX has taught us, it's that the official story is rarely the complete story. The moon is 3 days away. Mars is still waiting.